Hello, welcome to my channel. Today we are going to make a very tasty pasta recipe with some prawns. For my ingredients, I have 400 grams of prawns that I cleaned and rinsed out, but this usually come deveined and cleaned. But it's best to double check because you get here and there little shells. I've got 1 onion sliced finely. I've got 50 grams of butter to give it an extra flavor. And I have 2 tomatoes, which I've taken the outer peel out of the tomatoes and cubed it small. I have 4 large cloves of garlic, which I'm going to crush. And I'm using 2 chillies, but the choice is yours. Our chillies is quite hot. And I'm also going to use some fresh thyme, and then for taste, I'm going to use a teaspoon of fine salt. I'm using some fish spice. This is to marinate my prawns, and I'm also going to use a grain of pepper. Here I have 500 grams of pasta.
We're using a different pasta today. It's fettuccine pasta. I was actually looking for linguine, but didn't get it in the shop. So we're going to use fettuccine instead.
This pasta will be able to feed 4 to 6 people. A handful of parsley, which we will chop finely, and some spring onions to garnish. And then a splash of olive oil. I'm going to start by marinating my prawns. I will sprinkle in some of the fish spice, a nice generous sprinkle. And also grain of pepper. Our fish spice also has its own salts. I'll give this a good mix and I'll set it aside while we start off by boiling our pasta. I've got my stove on, moderate heat, and here I've got my water already boiling, which is about 2 liters of water. I'm going to use this entire 500 grams of pasta, which will feed 4 to 6 people. To my pasta, I'm going to add in a teaspoon of rough salt. This is a heaped teaspoon of salt. And I'm also going to put a splash of olive oil and allow this to boil. This pasta will take 10 to 12 minutes to cook, but we will test it as it cooks. I've got my frying pan heated up also, so I'm going to add in a splash of olive oil, not very much. To my olive oil, I'm going to fry my onions. I'll allow these onions to get soft. While our pasta is boiling, we had to move this around all the time so it don't get stuck. Especially when you're cooking a large amount. My onions is cooked up. And I add in my garlic. I'm also going to add in my thyme. And thereafter I'm going to add in my chilies. Instead of fresh chilies, you can also use dried chili flakes. Now in goes my prawns. I'll give this prawns a quick fry. Five minutes has passed and my pasta is done. I'm just going to take it off the stove and drain it in a colander and get back. Now my prawns are fried. It took about 3 minutes on each side. And then I'm just going to push it to one side. I'm going to add in my tomatoes. And this tomatoes is not to be cooked fully like chutney. It's just to stay whole. Also to my tomatoes, I'm going to sprinkle in my fine salt, even to the prawns. Then I add in my butter and allow this about 5 minutes. I'm going to mix this all together. I kept a little bit of my pasta water aside for the reason in case I needed it, but it doesn't seem to be that I needed it, because maybe if you are using fresh prawns, then you will need that little bit of the pasta water to loosen your sauce. But mine is looking quite nice. So I'm just going to sprinkle in some of my fresh parsley and my spring onions. So I'm going to leave aside a little just to garnish when serving. I'm going to give this another quick mix. I'm going to turn my stove off. It's easier for me to add my sauce into the pasta. I'm going to give this a nice mix up. And now I'm ready to serve. Here you go. Now I'm just going to sprinkle in a little fresh parsley and a spring onion on top. And this is your lovely prawns pasta dish. It was so easy. You can almost make it every now and then. Especially if you are a lover of prawns. Give this a try. And thank you all very much for watching and enjoy.